Hello, my name is Peter Moore, and I'm recording the opening statement video for the ethics debate. I'm part of Debate Team 10 alongside Ruth Henry and Yi Lee, and we are part of the environmental debate. Our stance is bottled water use does not pose a threat to the environment, and our opening statement is bottled water use does not pose a threat to the environment when it is created and processed in an environmentally friendly way. In other words, to say bottled water is the only focus in the overall issue of environmental threats is choosing to be ignorant of other causes and alternative solutions. So our first main argument is that there are alternative materials to plastic. These include things like metal and glass. Metal is long-lasting when cared for properly and can be efficiently recycled and reused even in late age. Glass is infinitely recyclable, as it never degrades to the point that it cannot be reused in a recycling chain. It is cheaper and uses less energy to make glass from cullet, which is crushed glass, and glass produced from recycled glass reduces related air pollution by 20% and related water pollution by 50%. There are also bioplastics, and specifically I'll be talking about a bioplastic called seaweed plastic. Most bioplastics currently require a specific and controlled environment to break down in a way that produces no toxicity. That being said, they are still far superior to standard plastics regarding environmental impact. Seaweed plastic is an example of an effective and efficient bioplastic. It meets the same logistical and mechanical needs of standard use plastic, can be used for food safe packaging, and can be grown in mass quantities for low costs. Compared to some other bioplastics, seaweed plastics can biodegrade alongside standard compost materials. While bioplastics aren't a perfect solution currently, developing them further may prove to be so. These alternative materials are more degradable and biodegradable than standard use plastic, and some can even be recycled with a 100% reuse, such as glass. Our second argument is that responsible, capable, and environmentally friendly waste management and recycling processes would make bottled water environmentally friendly. So countries should not be allowed to ship their recycling to foreign and often less qualified countries for them to recycle, as often they are simply not able to do so properly. This happens a lot worldwide. Efficient recycling plants and procedures within a country should be improved or implemented so that they may handle their own waste and recycling needs. If this were the case, countries would not need to ship their recycling and waste to other countries, and it would be disposed or recycled properly and in an environmentally friendly way. There is already a massive amount of plastic that has been produced worldwide, and efforts to recycle this plastic are usually cyclical. So plastic water bottles, single-use plastic being recycled into plastic water bottles. Again, also single-use plastic, and then they're at a point where you can't recycle them much further. But what if efforts were made to recycle such material into products that had longer lives and were more permanent? Consider how this Korean textile company is using recycled plastic in the creation of clothes and accessories. There's an article there we can link at some point. Countries that use waste to energy, WTE, waste disposal systems, are the same countries that produce the least pollution, such as Sweden, Norway, and Germany. WTE systems not only produce significantly less greenhouse gases than other forms of waste management, but they also produce clean energy and recycle metal, which leads to an even further reduction on environmental impact. WTE facilities don't produce methane, a huge contributor to the environmental damage, and provide an alternative energy source to coal and natural gas. There are also some minor examples of how humans and nature both use and benefit from the reuse of waste. These come from Yi. In China and many other countries around the world, many impoverished people gather and sell recycling to make money. Additionally, some animals have found use for certain waste materials in their own existence. As seen in the television documentary series Ice Airport Alaska at Ted Stevens Airport in Alaska, they discovered that a bird's nest that was interfering with the searchlight was in fact partly built using the remains of plastic bottles and other plastic materials. Our third point is that conscious and caring control of and access to water is important. Many of the major companies that produce and sell bottled water do so only for profit and care little for the environmental impact this production has. The company Nestle, for example, has routinely shown themselves to care little for the environment. They routinely tap and suck dry natural resources of water in places where rules and regulations around water use and access are weak, such as third world countries or areas of poverty. From the sale of this water, Nestle makes billions of dollars a year and in turn produces an estimated 95,000 metric tons of plastic waste annually, or about enough to cover 15 football fields every day. When access and control of water is dominated by companies like Nestle, there's little chance they will take environmental precautions. That's why public access to safe and ethical tap water for personal storage and use is so important. If control and access of water was taken away from companies like Nestle, that same water could be used by the people who are closest to it via public tap water. Tap water systems yield lower carbon emissions, consume less energy, and produce practically zero waste. If people worldwide had better access to public tap water, they could use recycled, reused, or alternative material bottled water containers to consistently and ethically transport and drink water. This ties into the growing support for water ethics, the idea that we as humans have an ethical responsibility to preserve water for not only ourselves and future generations, but for all life on the planet. If water ethics was a widespread discussion, it would allow us to take a systematic approach to managing water use and ensuring that disadvantaged or marginalized communities weren't left to suffer. That's all. Thank you.